right, yes, good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. This is the part where we get to talk about trending stories from the front pages of our dailies. We have our papers here with us, The Nation, The Punch, The Guardian and Vanguard newspaper. My name is OMOBOLA Sandra and I'll be having FUHAD SAHEED joining in via the phone line as we take a cursory look through the front pages of our dailies this morning. Okay, so a lot of updates as regards the stories that we have been treating all week. It's been an interesting ride. Today being Wednesday, the 11th of January 2023, there's still a whole lot more for us to talk about. And it may seem like, we're talking too much politics and all, but then we are in the election season. So it's imperative that we bring in give you as many updates and as much more updated information as possible. All right, and aside from that, we'd also like to know what is your experience as regards collection of PVC been like since last week Friday. The distribution of PVC was devolved to the wards and areas. So we would like to know, has it made it easier for you to collect your PVC? Because information that we've been getting so far is that, yes, it has made it easier. Within a few minutes, you go in, get your card, and you're out. There's no queue, and it's closer to people's location. So do you have contrary opinion to that or contrary experience to that? Please do well to share with us on any of our platforms. Okay, and of course, we are also talking about the fact that there's still a whole lot as regards the security situation of the country, whether or not the elections will hold in some parts of the country, or whether or not we will be having a conclusive results as regards either the presidential or the state elections. But then let's get on with what's trending on the front pages of the dailies. Good morning, FUHAD.
Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I am well, thank you very much. All right, so let's get on with it. I will start with Vanguard newspaper this morning, and the major headline coming from Vanguard says, "Fear not, elections will hold," says the federal government. And there's riders to that saying, INEC clarifies issues to present voters register to parties today. Seeks commitment of all stakeholders to peaceful polls. Promises legacy of free, fair, credible elections. INEC's alarm irresponsible. And that's coming from the reps. We mustn't give in to anti-democratic forces, says Labour Party. Insecurity, not enough reason to postpone polls, says APC PCC. INEC shouldn't give APC opportunity to continue to punish Nigerians, and that's coming from PDP. And of course, Pandef and Afenifere and others also had something to say as regards, the alerts that INEC gave out, that as regards, some certain volatile areas, that has been plagued with insecurity, saying that, it's very important that all of these areas have their elections held, and results are also gotten from these areas, makes it easier for results to be collated. But then there are several reactions to that particular one, and that is what this particular major story is saying on the front page of Vanguard. But I'm going to start with the reps coming with INEC's alarm irresponsible. What do you think about that, FUHAD, saying that, INEC coming forward to say what they had to say was irresponsible of, or maybe they were just being alarmist or dramatic?
So what's irresponsible about putting out your fears as an umpire? Of course, if for nothing, the INEC doesn't even need to tell us. They've been under attack in different parts of the country. Shouldn't that be enough reason for them to speak up and tell us that, look, there are problems that they are facing and challenges? And then I would have loved to know the exact person that made that statement on behalf of the House of Reps.
Their names are there.
Whether it's the speaker or their spokesperson or...
No, just members. Some members, actually. Some members of the House of Representatives.
Okay, Sandra, you think about headline casting that worries you with newspapers to say. It could just be 1 or 2, 3 House of Reps member, and then to take those statements at the entire of the House of Reps, for me, it's pure journalism. It would have been, if he was, for example, the speaker.
I was going to read the story, FUHAD.
Okay.
I was going to read the story. It says some members of the House of Representatives and the members who spoke were Sergius Ogun of Isha Northeast, Isha Southeast Federal Constituency of Edo State, and Kingsley Chinda of Obio Akwa Federal Constituency of Rivers State. So those are the two major people who spoke as regards, the irresponsibility or INEC's alarm being irresponsible.
Now, what I'm saying, Sandra, I know, even with that story, the headline for me is still poor journalism. You don't say reps, as if the entire reps had a vote, or it was a consensus by the entire reps to say, oh, the alarm raised by INEC is irresponsible. You have some reps members, you understand, or the speaker, if he was the speaker. But for you to say the reps, one would have thought that, oh, the entire House of Representatives, don't think that correspondent or reporter spoke to one or two reps members and they made that statement. And then it starts as if the whole House of Reps unanimously agree that was responsible.
I beg to disagree. It's just a rider to the major headline, and of course they would expect that you go into the papers to get the details. I'm saying you are saying your own. I'm saying my own.
Professionally, it is irresponsible to say Rex, even if it's a rider. That's what I'm saying. You know, we read stories where they say Southeast, South, and you read the story, just one or two people that make the statements, and the entire region is tagged, the entire body is tagged. You can't say the entire House of Reps, even if it's a rider. That's what I'm saying. It's poor journalism, professionally.
They didn't say entire House of Reps.
Where was the rider? Read out the rider here.
Reps. But they are representatives. What would they have said? I understand you, but I do not agree.
You understand then agree that it's poor journalism. That's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
Information.
I don't have to agree with you for that.
But it's information that is just pure journalism.
It's fine from your own perspective, of course. It's okay.
You have to be careful with the issue of disinformation. That's what I'm saying. Because anybody reading that right now will think that the entire Reps is calling out INEC as irresponsible for saying what we already know.
All right, moving on from that, we have so many riders as regards that particular one. You can get the details on pages 5 and 33. There's so many other riders. The federal government is saying no cause for alarm. That's what the president or the federal government is saying, that they're aware that INEC is working with security agencies to ensure that the elections are successfully held across the country. All right, and they also went further to say that the INEC's alarm over postponement or cancellation raised dust in the polity, with the electoral body clarifying issues around security, election postponement, and commitment of stakeholders to credible polls. And then we also have here the Labour Party has urged INEC and Nigerians not to give in to threats by persons and political parties to frustrate the nation's march towards a better society by thwarting the forthcoming general elections. And that's coming from the chief spokesman of Labour Party Presidential Council, Dr. Tanko Yusuf. And the APC also, in their own reaction, as speaking on their behalf of the Director of Public Affairs and Chief Spokesperson of All Progressives Congress, Mr. Festus Okoye, saying that INEC might have overstated the issue of insecurity. That is the APC's that's the APC's reaction to that particular one. All right, but
that one now is from the spokesperson of the APC, so we can say that the APC speaking, but not just two reps members speaking for the reps.
I have left that particular rider. Thank you very much, Fuad. Moving on now, we also have PDP saying INEC shouldn't give APC opportunity to continue to punish Nigerians. That is coming from the spokesman and director of public affairs of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Senator Dino Milai. Okay, and also Afenifere also speaking, insists that the general elections remain sacrosanct, adding that nothing must be done to shift the dates. And that's speaking Afenifere's National Publicity Secretary, Mr. Jare Ajayi. Pandef also has something to say. Ondo State Chairman of the SDP also had something to say. Ondo PDP. There's a whole of reactions to INEC, whether or not, and these are major, political stakeholders, whether or not INEC will be postponing, or whether or not, INEC coming forward to say that maybe they shouldn't have, or they should have just spoken with relevant authorities, relevant security agencies, rather than coming forward to the public to, put some sort of, anxiety out there as regards whether or not the elections will hold. So, coming from you now, do you think that INEC should have just, had the meetings that they were supposed to have with the security agencies rather than coming public with their fears?
Well, if probably you've been having secret meetings and you have not gotten any result, what options are you left with? And then if as a body, your offices are constantly attacked, election materials are destroyed, you've lost personnel, you are even afraid of losing more. What are you then supposed to do when you are not getting the right reaction from the government, when you are not getting enough protection from the government? What are you supposed to do? The reality is that we must understand that, look, when there are issues, we don't have to sweep it under the carpet and assume that nothing is, there's no cause for alarm. Because that's always the way we attend to issues. We are not proactive. We always assume that there's no problem until the problem comes, stares us in the face, and completely embarrasses us. So for me, I like the fact that INEC is speaking out. We've always said that, look, they keep reassuring Nigerians, but somehow we need to question, are we really ready for this election? Is the country safe enough for people to go out there on elections? And even deployment of materials, moving materials around and all of that. So we can't over-discuss the issue of security. We have insecurity almost in every part of the country. And so the best thing is for us to put it on the table, discuss it, look at the gray areas, address it, and ensure that we have a secure country to conduct the elections. We can't over-discuss it. So I agree with INEC for speaking out. And then the people that should do the right thing should do the right thing, not to castigate INEC for speaking out. They've been under attack. We've been reading it in the papers.
Well, I quite agree with you with that one. We also had the conversation yesterday when some callers were saying, oh, they shouldn't come out to be telling us this. They know what to do and they should do the right thing. But then I think I quite agree with FUHAD when you say that, INEC may have been doing everything they can and they see that, wait, nothing seems to be happening. We need to let the public know that we have a problem. But even if we were to have such a situation, whether or not there will be a postponement or whether or not we need to call the security agencies to up their game and, do more as regards securing INEC, the ad hoc staff, the materials, and all of that. All the reactions to INEC's, call for more security, attention from Vanguard on pages 5 and 33 of Vanguard newspaper. Now, moving on, still on the front page of Vanguard, we also have here, gunmen open fire on NDLEA operatives in Lagos, and that is on page 6. And that's on page 6 of Vanguard newspaper. Okay, and what we have is that unidentified security agents opened fire on a team of NDLEA, that's National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, on Awolowo Road in Lagos in a bid to forcefully release the driver of a truck loaded with hard drugs. That's interesting. So unidentified security agents to know. So how do we know if they are security agents if they were not identified? That's a question that I will be holding on to as regards this particular story.
And when you say security agent, is it a policeman?
Exactly. So they said unidentified. And they says here. So how do we know they're security agents?
I heard that a security agent, not just one of the kingpins.
Or maybe private protection detail or something. It's not really, it's just stated here, unidentified security agents. Are they security agents of the law? Are they a part of the drug busting or what? Exactly. It's not no. So what we had, the armed operatives also shattered the windscreen, but for the timely intervention of military men averted what would have resulted in a bloodbath, as the armed operatives escaped with the driver abandoning the truck. Oh, so they won. That's interesting.
Well, Is he a policeman? Is he an army official?
It is not stated there. It's just
So how do you know that he's a security operative?
That's a
question.
very big question. So how do we know that they're security agents? And you said unidentified. So how did you identify them as security agents?
It would have been better to say gunman or an unknown gunman or known gunmen.
Oh, gunmen.
I've always been using it. Or gunmen.
Gunmen. Just follow the rider. And then you get to the story and you see unidentified. The unidentified security agency took the driver and escaped with him. That is that.
But that is part of the rule. The drug cartel. Not to be. Was he in uniform? It could even be somebody trying to camouflage. Pretending to people. I think the story is what it is. NDLA was under attack.
Yes.
And luckily, I guess no life was lost because of the intervention of the army. But I think that's the story. Maybe there'll be follow-ups, as the days go by. So, but I think we should not really bother ourselves too much because the story is incomplete.
More details on page 6 of Vanguard newspaper. We also have here African Bar Association flays plot against CBN Governor Emefiele. Who is plotting against Emefiele and where is Emefiele? I don't know what
who are African lawyers? Go and check that story and see
African Bar.
The African lawyer. But you to call somebody African lawyer or a group.
Africa Bar Association. Africa Bar Association. That's what it says here.
And what's their interest in this issue particularly? This particular issue?
Why is the African Bar Association interested in the plot by the department, by DSS to arrest the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin, on allegations of terrorism financing? So what they are saying here is, although it does not meddle or interfere in the local governance and political issues of members' nations, there was need for agencies of government to show respect and obedience to the rule of law at all times. I find it interesting that I'm hearing for the first time African Bar Association, and it's when the CBN governor is having issues with the DSS.
And they're speaking up.
And that's when they came out and they said
they started the story that they don't interfere in domestic affairs, but they are talking already on this one.
Then that they need to that there's a need for agencies of government to show respect and obedience to the rule of law at all times. So I'm more interested in why they singled out this particular case.
The issue.
Yes, for them to speak up.
Issues that have been happening. You see, Sandra, the thing is this. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, so that you won't say, why am I asking for the whereabouts of the CBN governor? but it's important. but honestly, it's important that we know his whereabouts. We know what is happening to him. We know his fears. I know he's gotten a court injunction telling DSS to stay away from arrest, back off and allow whatever process or court process to. But my fear is this: if the DSS has issues, of course they need to question it, build up their case, before maybe if he needs to be prosecuted, he's taken to court for the court process and prosecution. But they still need to build their case. They need to question him, during the course of investigation. So
I agree with you. If he's innocent, I'm with you.
If a security, if the DSS, the police invites you, I think you should just honor it. Go there, say your own side of the story. And if you have no issues, I know they will allow you to go. And if you have any issues to answer, they will take you to court. And like I said, Mr. Godwin Emefiele has everything to protect himself, to defend himself. It's not the ordinary Nigerian that will be afraid that, I can't hire the best lawyers. I'm sure if he wants to take 10 senior advocates of Nigeria to defend in the court, he has the means to do that. So this idea of saying, don't harass him and all that, again, continues to show to some of us that, maybe he has something to hide. If he doesn't have anything to hide, I'm sure he can always honor the invitation of the DSS, go there, state his own side of the case, and if there are issues against him, he will have his day in court, where he would be able to defend himself properly. That's what civilized societies do, civilized people do. But this idea of going around seeking court injunction and then having some people to speak in proxies for you, all manner of funny associations have been speaking, these things are things we know. When you activate your propaganda machinery and PR machinery to do these things for you. For me, I think the governor of the CBN should be responsible enough to honor the invitation of the DSS, set his own side of the case, and if he has a case to answer, go to court to defend himself. That's democracy. That's what's supposed to be the right thing to do.
Very simple, actually. And I don't know if the African Bar Association were, just being honest with themselves. I don't think if you call someone for questioning, just go with your lawyer. Whatever they ask you, answer, and let everything be resolved.
Lawyers, the senior guys to go there and defend you. Even if you write a statement under duress, I think the court process allows you to state that look, I wrote these things under duress and all of that. But I don't know why this is gathering so much storm, and then to the point
that even an international or regional body now, in quotes, now is even coming into the situation. I find it interesting. African Bar Association coming in.
Because I don't know what they are hoping.
All right, more details on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. Now, moving on, we also have on the front page of Vanguard polls. Interfaith group clerics raise alarm over denial of PVCs. This is actually an interesting one. Let's see what exactly we have in the story. So what we have is that an interfaith group raised an alarm over alleged deliberate denial of citizens their PVCs based on ethnic or partisan considerations, and that they are saying that such deliberate action is an indication of manipulation and all of that. But is that possible? You go to pick up your PVC, they ask you what tribe are you, what party do you affiliate with, and before they give you your PVC?
Well, we have been inheriting that information. Some of our callers too, if you remember, Sandra.
Someone mentioned that.
Said, that people are targeted on ethnic extraction, they frustrate them, and they don't allow them get their PVC. But we also seen people who have also said, look, nobody questions you on your ethnicity. You get there, if your PVC is ready, they give it to you. It's seamless and all of that. But again, when this...
But is this something that INEC should look into? I mean, it's in the papers now.
INEC should investigate it. Yes. We shouldn't think that people are just being alarmist or just trying to, create unnecessary trouble. If people come up with these allegations, I think INEC should investigate it and see whether really there are things that they should quickly attend to. But so far so good. I think people have been picking up their PVC, irrespective of their ethnic coloration or political affiliation. Because again, I would assume that most of the ad hoc staff of INEC distributing these PVCs are also across all ethnic lines. I'm sure there will be Igbos there, there will be Yorubas there, there will be Hausas there. So how do you do these things? But again, nothing is impossible with politicians. I always say that I have my fears about to what extent the politicians can do to sabotage the process. So you must not leave any stone unturned when it comes to dealing with politicians. But I think INEC should investigate this and quickly fix it, if indeed it is true that is happening.
All right, more details of that on page 35 of Vanguard newspaper. That's where you get that particular story. We also have here security plans for rail stations incomplete, and that's coming from NRC boss, that's Nigeria Railway Corporation. So that's still as regards the Edo attack. So we have riders to that, and one is train attack, act of sabotage, says NRC boss. Shaibu meets Igwebe community leaders, heads of security agencies, says security architecture of railway stations yet to be completed before attack. Federal government seeks collaboration with host communities. A Senate committee canvasses establishment of railway police. First, one thing is the fact that security architecture of railway stations yet to be completed. 2, collaboration with host communities and establishment of railway police. What are your thoughts?
So when we do railway police, we now do airport police, we do bus station police, we do police again now.
Korokwe police.
We do pipeline police.
That's very important to FUHAD.
Yes, because their pipelines have been attacked and vandalized.
Very important.
We do expressway police too. That's the expressway. The thing is that this has brought up the issue of restructuring our security architecture in the country. The idea of having railway police or what police and all that, maritime police. I think we have maritime police.
Yes, yeah, we do. Yes, we do. Yes.
But I think that the news here for me is the fact that the security arrangements for the rail lines are not complete. It would have been nice to get more details. Of course, that may be secured information, classified information on what security arrangement for the rail lines entails. I know that the last week at Abuja happened, it was more of the drones that, some suggestions have been made about deploying drones and all of that. But my own worry is that whatever arrangement you create in terms of security, you have to ask yourself, how sustainable is that arrangement? It's not just a remedial approach. Something happens, you respond, and then you go back to sleep again. It has to be something sustainable that can, continue to go on, get into the autopilot mode with or without anybody manning it. There's something going on. I think more of what we should do should be surveillance and intelligence gathering. CCTV cameras, are they working? You'll be shocked that the rail stations don't even have CCTV cameras. SANDRA. In the minimum, which is supposed to be at least one of the minimum things that we should be able to
maybe do. That is part of what they're saying when they said that, the security architecture.
CCTV, SANDRA.
That's important.
You don't understand. At least in the minimum by now, maybe the faces of these assailants and all that, they have been able to pick them. But I'm telling you, you may be shocked that if you get to that Webber train station now, the CCTV may not be in place.
Even till
now. Not have been installed.
Even till now.
I'm telling you, you see these things. Remember that but honestly, I think we need to get serious as a country. We need to learn from how things are done properly in saner crimes, in more advanced society, and just do those basic things. These things.
But what about the federal government? What about the federal government trying to, do some collaboration with the host communities? What exactly are the host communities supposed to do? Are they supposed to secure? Are they supposed to secure themselves, or are they supposed to give intel to the federal government or the security
agencies? Train stations with their guns, or what exactly are?
So they should secure themselves. What exactly do they mean by?
Or maybe for intelligence gathering or information gathering or what? But again, some of these things, I think the government should not try to abdicate their responsibility or make excuse for this obvious failure. It's an obvious failure, it's an avoidable failure. It's completely embarrassing. And I think we should just learn to do the right thing. There are basic things about security that we can do. At least the minimum, we should be able to do that. While we now build on it and make it sustainable.
All right, more details on page 9. Page 9 of Vanguard newspaper has the details as regards security plans for the rail stations across Nigeria, coming from NRC boss. Okay, moving on now, we also have on the front page of Vanguard newspaper, Airtel pushes 5G license revenue generation to over $864 million. That's that as regards Vanguard newspaper. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on 98.3 Mainland FM. Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper, and the major headline there says Naira redesign policy comes under pressure. Okay, and we have riders to that, so I'll just quickly take the riders. First, 27% of Lagosians yet to cite new banknotes. I'm one of the 27%. If not for FUHAD, if not for FUHAD, that rescued me from the dark. All right, and we also have customer 6-month extension of the January 31 deadline. That's as regards the old notes becoming illegal tender from January 31st. CBN under pressure to extend old notes demonetization. We also have subject implementation to evaluation and adjustment. Bankers making brisk business over lapses as VIPs mop up available volume.
You see the issue?
Yes. Yes.
That's what is happening.
Yusuf insists rigid implementation unnecessary. So yes, back to that mop up situation, because you can't tell me that these new notes are not in the banks.
But we're getting them.
But who's getting them?
People see the bills in the hands of some private citizens already.
Yes.
And then the machines are not dispensing the new notes. But one would have thought that they would feed the machines with the new notes, so that when you go out there, the machines are dispensing the new notes. I'm sure if we send our correspondents out now to go to different locations in Lagos, use the ATMs, it will still be the old note.
It's the old note. It is still the old note. By God's grace.
So what is the CBN saying? And if I ask for the CBN governor now, he say I'm overtaking.
He's on vacation. That's true. He took leave. It's December.
Again, as much as the CBN keeps assuring us about the new notes being available, I'm sorry, the reality does not show that these notes are available. And if they are available, where are they? And again, the last time the deputy governor of the CBN appeared before the assembly, she could not give emphatic figures, proper figures of the new notes that they printed, the exact amount of the notes that they printed. She said she had to go back to go check. And I was shocked. We printed 1 trillion naira of the new note, so we printed 500 billion naira of the new note. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I would like to show across the regions of the country, this is how we distributed it. He said she didn't have the information.
The deputy governor of the CBN saying you don't have the information. That's interesting.
How much has been printed of the new note? So
okay,
it's looking like a plane to me, like a script somewhere.
Well, what we have now is that even in this report now, there's a survey that was conducted by The Guardian saying that, or suggesting that 27.3% of Lagos residents, Nigeria's financial hub and headquarters of the Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC, are yet to see any of the new banknotes, much less receive one. And looking across all of that, we also have the fact that poor logistics, trust issues, racketeering, seriously giving this implementation a lot of issues. The implementation of the enforcement of the Naira redesign policy. All right, so there's so many issues surrounding this particular one. Whether or not the CBN will bow to pressure and extend or give an extension, we would know. But the concern now is, okay, you want to mop up the old notes, but you're not making the new notes available. Or not say that, because they may be making, but then some people are not making it available. So the old notes cease to be legal by January 31st, but majority of the citizenry do not have access to the new notes. So what exactly?
And the banks are still giving out the old notes. The ATM machines are still giving out the old notes. How do you now mop up? The ATMs are still giving out the old notes. So what are you mopping up? If I still go to bank today and they give me the old notes, I still use the ATMs and they still give me the old notes. So what is the mop up? Where is the new notes now? I don't think Nigerians don't want to use the old new notes. They are even eager to get hold of the new notes, but they are not available. And if they are available, where are they?
All right. So whether or not the CBN is going to, bow to the pressure of the citizenry or even the Senate, because the Senate had asked the CBN to heed reason and move the deadline to the end of June, citing the hardship of hasty enforcement that the hasty enforcement would have on Nigerians. But then the CBN is still nothing much is being heard from the CBN. They're just doing their thing and moving on. It's almost like we are talking to a brick wall at this time now. So we'll still keep monitoring the situation and see what exactly it will be obtainable by the end of this month. More details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Moving on now, we also have 2023 elections as insecurity stokes fear. Federal government allays concern over cancellation. That's on page 3. Resident doctors write government on impending nationwide strike. That is also on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. So what we have is that the National Association of Resident Doctors has written the federal government over unresolved issues affecting its members, and this may lead to a nationwide strike and disruption of services in the health sector. We don't have enough doctors, and the few that we have are also threatening to. Yes, so that is the unfortunate situation that we're in now, because apparently there was a lot of issues that they brought up, one of which is non-payment of skipping arrears for 2014, 2015 and 2016, non-payment of consequential adjustment of minimum wage, delay in upward review of consolidated medical salary structure, salary arrears of members in state tertiary health institution running into several months. And these states include Abia, Imo, Ondo, Ekiti and Gombe states. Non-Domestication of Medical Residency Training Act in most states across the federation. So a lot of issues affecting the resident doctors in Nigeria. And although they're appreciating efforts of the government, of the MDAs in resolving some of the issues raised, but then they're pointing out that challenges still remain.
Well, find all of the issues listed. I'm sure if the government makes it a point of priority to address these are issues that are resolvable. I don't think they are too difficult, to resolve if you make it a point of priority and the government focuses on them and looks for ways to resolve them. Like you just mentioned, we don't even have enough doctors. The gap syndrome, I'm sure I've depleted the number of doctors we have to maybe about 50%. About 50%, and then we now have the few ones that we have here who are also trying to go on strike. I just appeal to government, if indeed there's a reason to appeal to this present government, that just have thrown the country into autopilot. Because what I get from the government as it is now is that, look, we're rounding up, we just want to hand over, and then we're not really going to be too bothered by too many things. But again, before the May 29 handover date, the Nigerians will still survive. So we still just have to appeal to them that they make these things a point of priority, attend to the needs of the doctors, the ones that they can resolve it, negotiate, have concessions, and then put timelines for some of these things, maybe when the new government takes over, that they can resolve the rest.
All right, more details on page 3. We also have Afe Babalola tasks rich Nigerians philanthropists on education sector revival. Here we are again. Let's just quickly... Yes, let's just quickly take this particular one. What we have here is that Chief Afe Babalola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, stressed that for the nation's education sector to overcome its current challenges, rich Nigerians and philanthropists must be ready to make financial contributions. So here we are now. We are now calling on the people themselves to help the people themselves. So what exactly is the position, or what exactly is the job of the government? If we have to do, they're looking at talking to host communities to secure train stations. And now we're looking at rich Nigerians to help financially, to fund the education sector. So, what exactly is the job of government? What is the job of the government?
Yes, I understand where the question is coming from. Sandra, I will not be doing everything myself. Let's even go practical now. Let's just go very practical. The street gates you see and the vigilantes that you have around that we pay. Is it not because there's no security? Is that not why you have a lot of people who are erecting street gates and people were prison yard all over, everywhere with high fences? Just imagine the number of gates you have to go to get to your house, Sandra. From the street to one street to another street, then when you get to your compound, there's a big fence with a gate. Then when you get to your main door, there's a gate. Then in front of your main door, there's another gate before you go into your, because there's no security. Public water. When last have you seen anywhere with public water in this Lagos? Is it not boreholes that you have everywhere? Is that not providing water for ourselves? I always say, Sandra, I am sorry, we still have public primary school, public secondary schools, but it has to take a level of, I'm sorry to use the word poverty now, to put your child in a public secondary school or a public primary school. A lot of people, no matter how poor the private school, you just want to get their kids into a private school. Is that not providing for our own education? And that is what is going to happen to universities. A lot of people now, even without the means, struggle now to get their kids into private university. Is that not a way of providing for ourselves? So what exactly is the government doing? The roads are bad. I'm sure if they allow a lot of communities, they will fix their roads themselves. I'm sure that, look, have you not heard of communities buying transformers themselves? Fixing electric poles and wires? So why are you surprised that they are telling people to fund education? Private, I said about allow the private university anyway, so I understand where it's coming from. But what exactly is the job of government? What exactly, or what are they doing? All of these guys with Agbada that we see John catching up and every day, what exactly are they doing? Get crude oil, refine locally, you can't even do that one. That cannot be done. Okay, import the fuel, another wahala. Give account of daily consumption, wahala. So all of these people that we fix fast, pay every salary, allowances, emolument, what are they doing in government?
Well, very, very, unfortunate situation where we have to now start calling on rich Nigerians and philanthropists, calling on Nigerians themselves to do what they have to do as regards.
And the governors will say, defend yourself. If bandits attack you, defend yourself.
So,
have you not heard of governors saying that to citizens?
So why are we paying taxes?
And the governors are collecting security votes, so every month, so
even with the National Assembly, looking for passing into law Nigerian Education Bank for student loans, some people would disagree and say, well, it is a good idea to have a loan scheme for students, but then where are the jobs?
How do you repay?
Yes, because today's unemployment rate is very high. There are many graduates that are Okada riders, Korokwe riders, or dispatch riders. If you have conversations with some of these people, so that's another angle to look at it. But then Afebabalola is tasking rich Nigerians and philanthropists on the revival of the education sector. More details on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And finally, from the Guardian, federal government plans collaboration with community.
The other one. This one is a very wonderful one.
Federal government plans collaboration with communities to secure railway infrastructure. That's on page 9 of the Guardian newspaper. So, I don't know what.
But it's good. Community involvement in security is not a bad idea.
It's okay.
But, this idea of abdicating responsibility and people should take care of themselves is just why we have to laugh off some of these issues. But, community involvement in security is understandable.
But would they arm them? Would these community security agents be armed? Because
I don't know how they want to do. Maybe for information gathering, maybe.
Okay.
And that's why the conversation of community policing
it's okay. It's
has become very important. Yeah.
It's all right. We'll see how that works out. All right, let's move on now to the Nation newspaper and the major headline there. Buhari, what Nigerians stand to gain from Tinubu Shetima, and there are riders to that. 1. They will guarantee good governance, education, and security. Another one, APC candidate promises economic prosperity. Lawan, others at UB rally. So, well,
I thought the UB rally, it was more of dancing and cheering and raising of flags and no takeaways from Sandra, nothing. Nothing other than the same general promises that we will get from this campaign rally. Nothing, no takeaway, not a single one. Other than the president has been going around the country now campaigning for actual development. It's a passive thing. But for me as a Nigerian, hoping to get what I can say, yes, okay, what are the plans? I've still not been able to get anything meaningful from those rallies. Sorry.
Well, the president said, and I'm quoting now, open quote, I accompany Asiwaju here to tell you to vote for him so that he can continue with my legacy of rebuilding Nigeria. End of quote. That's a very interesting one. More details on page 25 of the Nation newspaper. All right. We also have here 150 nurses resigned from LASUTH in 3 years. That's on page 5. And here we also have bandits kill 7 NSCDC officials. That's on page 6. Parties okay beavers for polls. That's on page 5. Above the masthead of the Nation, we have DSS won't succumb to intimidation and harassment, and that is also on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And okay, yes, that's as regards them discharging their constitutional duties, saying that yes, they will not be harassed or intimidated or blackmailed into not doing their job. All right, and that is following plans that by some politicians and those he called disgruntled elements within and outside the government to sponsor smear campaigns against the DSS. More details on page 5, page 6, page 5, page 5 of the Nation newspaper. All right, we also have judiciary won't be manipulated under me, says Chief Justice of Nigeria, Ariwola. And that's on page 29 of the Nation newspaper. I also have huge crowd welcomes Peter Obi to Onitsha. And that's on page 25 of the Nation newspaper. Now, finally, this morning on Trends in the Papers, we'll go through the Punch newspaper. And the major headline on the front page of the Punch: last lap, Tinubu campaign mills alliance with smaller parties. So, the writer says, APC looking beyond PDP, NNPP, Labour Party, reaching out to parties to adopt Tinubu, says the PCC member, Senator Akombi. No negotiation yet. We won't step down for ex-Lagos governor, Accord Party presidential candidate. So we had the Accord Party gubernatorial. We had
for the first time.
We had the you know he was here last week. It was an interesting run. We had the Accord Party gubernatorial candidate, Honorable Chief Hakeem Dixon, joining us. Yes, in the studio last week, and we had a lot of conversations, especially as regards him being or was a member of the APC, was even a local government chairman under the umbrella of the APC some years ago, and now he is a gubernatorial candidate in Accord. All right,
but the presidential candidate is talking now. Professor something was that guy.
No. Accord Party and presidential candidates.
But I just hope that most of these parties are not placeholders, waiting for the last minute to begin to step down and adopt presidential candidates. There's nothing that we should be prepared to. Don't be surprised that
I think the PDP, apologies, the APC rather is speaking up now. They said that we are reaching out to our Accord members, Social Democratic Party members, and other political parties to vote for Bola Tinubu at the presidential elections. So what we have is they are trying to reach out to other people to join forces now, looking beyond the major parties, that's the PDP, NNPP, and Labour Party, noting that deals could be reached with the smaller ones to adopt Tinubu, recalling that Tinubu had been wooing the PDP G5. And despite holding several meetings with them, the PDP governors have failed to endorse the APC presidential candidate as of today. As of right now, we don't know anything yet. But the presidential candidate of African Action Alliance, Omoyele Sowore, and the national chairman of APGA have ruled out any possibility of working with APC candidates. I think he also mentioned that when he was here.
I'm not sure that we know align anything. That one I can bet from that whatever we align with any party. No.
It's all right.
But Sandra, don't be shocked. Or would you be shocked if few days to the election you see presidential candidates and their parties come out to make public statements that hey, we are collapsing our structure and we decided because we think we don't stand the chance to work for the APC or the PDP or the big party. Don't be surprised that happens.
But we're having from these reports now that I see here that the factional national publicity secretary of the SDP, Alpha Mohammed, all right, has said that they have done their assessment and they've discovered that the presidential candidate of the APC is the best. So they are considering an alliance with Tinubu because they have found him to be the most successful candidate. All right, that's a faction of SDP. I don't now know the entire.
We are getting close. Okay, watch out for these things when it's about 10-15 days to the election. Just watch out for this. My prediction, you will see.
All right.
That's when you will know that most of these presidential candidates are just placeholders. Don't worry, you will see.
Oh my sure. Well, I trust my the party that I stand with. Is a very strong party, and I know that we will not be collapsing for anyone.
Mention the name of the party with your future. Maybe here.
Boot party.
I hear you. And I know Nigerians are listening.
More details on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. We've run out of time, but we don't have so much stories that we've not treated on the front page of the Nation. But then one major one that we did not treat from the other papers, but that is on the Punch newspaper, is Nigerian passport fails by 38 places in global ranking, and that is on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. And another thing that we're also bringing out is the fact that they are saying that we have 140,000 uncollected passports at the passport offices. I don't know why people would register for passports and won't go to pick them up, but they're citing incomplete phone numbers, incomplete addresses, wrong phone numbers.
Their data now when they were registering this thing.
Yeah, so that's why they're saying now that the Ministry of Interior is saying now that this issue of racketeering, telling somebody help me to get my passport, maybe the person filled wrong details. All right, we'll take a short break now. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, so we can open up the phone line and then you get to join in on the conversation that we will be having this morning. You're listening to 98.3 Mainland FM. We will be right back.